Takeru Segawa is a Japanese kickboxer that is the current king of the bantamweight division. With his aggressive come-forward style, he is a fan favourite and he has produced many a highlight reel knockout. With a record of 42 wins, 24 by knockout and only 2 defeats, he is currently one of the best pound-for-pound kickboxers on the planet. Takeru has all the fundamentals down to a T, and he can do everything pretty well. He has excellent ring craft and footwork, timing and shot selection. He jabs well and throws tidy punches to the head and body. His kicking technique is sharp and snappy, and he has the more flashy and flamboyant techniques such as spin kicks and scissor knees if he feels the urge to utilise them, which is fairly infrequent. His first martial art was karate, and this has led to him having excellent dexterity with his legs. He favours the lead leg and will often just lift it straight up with no switch to attack the leg or body. Dependent on who he is fighting and how difficult it is to close the gap, he will pepper away at the legs in what seems to be an attempt to frustrate the opponent and baiting them to engage. The lead kick to the leg also serves the purpose of setting up his powerful right hand, which is probably his best punch, as he can fall into the punch off the kick, generating more power. He does use the teep to help work his opponents to the ropes as he comes forward, but it isn't always necessary to use to get him to where he needs to be, which is boxing range. To close the gap, Takeru will sometimes lunge in with the knee to the body. He isn't bothered if he lands out of position with it, as long as it gets him to where he needs to be. He's most effective with it when the opponents are pressed against the ropes and can't move backwards, and this is when you'll see him utilise it more. Using his right knee to land forward into the opposite stance is a Kuro distance closer that sets up his right hook perfectly, bringing the punch closer to the opponent. The knees to the body add to the draining nature of Takeru's style, sapping energy from the opponents and drawing them into firefights. His constant attack of marching push kicks into knees and punches is almost the K1 equivalent of a Muay Thai. It reminds me of Jovic with this approach, except with more volume and speed with the hands, and slightly more reckless. Takeru does seem to struggle most with fighters that use lateral movement and are less willing to stand in front of him to exchange. To add to this physicality, he can often be seen physically pushing his opponents backwards, really asserting himself as a dominant fighter, making it more difficult for opponents to mount attacks. If he can get opponents to shell up, especially whilst on the ropes, he will flourish the body with heavy hooks. His rhythm is a little offbeat with this, where many will throw 1 or 2 shots with the hands into a leg attack, or back out of range. Takeru will stay in the pocket and throw large volumes of punches. If the opponent stays shelled up for too long, expecting Takeru to stop after 2 or 3 shots, things can get rapidly worse. He will throw barrages of punches, and this is when fighters get caught out and try to punch with him. This is not a good idea when caught on the ropes, as they open themselves up and get caught with more severe blows. The fighters that don't stay there for too long seem to fare far better. Managing distance is key to giving Takeru problems, but this is easier said than done when he can be so relentless with his pressure, especially as the rounds go on. He seems to have more difficulty against southpaw fighters as the range is off and his jab doesn't land as effectively. Takeru loves to set up his right hook to either the head or body with the jab, and it is by far his best weapon. His right hook is monstrous, and he will often dip as he throws it, bringing his head off the centre line and simultaneously loading his left hook. Using the right to fully rotate and then come back with a solid left hook is another tendency, and he often catches opponents with this hook as they're about to try and counter him with their own left hook, doubling its power. He has some impressive knockouts from this. Once Takeru gets into a groove, he looks almost unstoppable. He is as durable as he is powerful. In his 2 defeats, one was by a decision and one was by a dubious TKO due to what appeared to be a bloody nose. Japan aren't a fan of blood, which is why in Pride they prohibited the use of elbows on the floor, and probably why kickboxing is far more popular than Muay Thai. Without elbows, there is far less a chance of cuts happening. If there is a cut in Japan, they seem to stop the fight a lot quicker than maybe they would in the West, and definitely far sooner than you'd see in Thailand. So, for anyone to stand a chance against Takeru, they have to be able to either hurt him, which seems very difficult to do at the weight class, control the distance and/or break up his rhythm. He only really mixes it up when he's having difficulty. When a fighter is really testing his skills, he needs more tools for the job, like when he scored an impressive spinning back fist knockout over hard-hitting fighter Tiger. Tiger was southpaw and seemed to be able to match Takeru with power. The fight was very back and forth and competitive, until it wasn't. When the back fist landed, it was good night Irene for Tiger. One thing that's for sure, Takeru is by far one of the most entertaining fighters to watch in kickboxing right now. He is hard-hitting, technical, and has a serious mean streak. He is in there to hurt opponents. Once again, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and feel free to subscribe and share. You can also support the channel via Patreon, the link will be in the bio. As always, thanks from Pro Striking.